Okay, folks, I'd like to welcome you to another post-game conversation where you get to hear directly from Tribe football alums, coaches, and supporters. For this episode, we have Mr. Marc Elim, president of the Tribe Club. How you doing, Marc?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Dante. Hope you're doing well.
I am. I'm really excited about having you on here. I know I just met you maybe a year or two ago, and just really enjoyed the relationship since then. So it's great to finally get you on.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kick it off, Marc. Tell everyone the year you graduated, the position you played, and your major.
All right, Dante. So I graduated from Wayne Mary in 1988, and I was a position defensive back, but mostly played special teams, was a headhunter, gunner on kickoffs, punts, and things of that nature. Came in as a math major, got a math degree, and also ended up getting a theater minor. A little bit different, football, theater, and math.
Yeah, you threw me for a loop because we were talking before the recording here. I had no idea you were a theater major, so that's a really good plug there. I'm curious as to if there were many other alums throughout the years that were theater, at least minors. That would be interesting to know.
Yeah, so actually, Archie Harris, who played football and actually a teammate of mine and got drafted by the Bears, he did a theater production. I think
Nice.
that kind of enlightened me to thought that, hey, that's something I could do as well. Obviously, Archie at 6'5", 6'6", had a different presence on the stage than me, but he had a different presence on the football field as well.
Yeah.
I could sneak back in the back corner.
Yeah, he couldn't hide very well.
No.
Yeah. So, Marc, before coming to William & Mary, your journey to William & Mary, heavily recruited by Ivy League. How'd you end up at William & Mary?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because my brother had gone out to Stanford. He didn't play football, but he, really thought about trying to follow in the footsteps. I wasn't good enough to get out there, and lived in Northern Virginia at the time. William Mary came to recruit me, and I was like, Virginia school? I want to go away.
Right.
So I said no. Really looked, as you said, the Ivy League schools. Flew up to Harvard and went up to Princeton. Yale was there, and actually, it was interesting. I was at the Princeton game, and my 7th and 8th grade middle school coach or junior high school coach in Ohio was coaching at Cornell, and he saw me there, so they started to recruit me. Bottom line was, financial. I looked, that's a lot of money, and so I said, hey, I'll go to William & Mary. And unfortunately, when I expressed interest in William & Mary, they're like, who are you? you can, when school starts, you can try to walk on at that time. So I'm probably one of the few school start walk-ons that ever earned a scholarship.
That's awesome.
So, yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The school has a rich tradition. Very. That you're also fortunate that the school has a rich tradition with walk-ons and earning scholarships and being impactful players. And so you're one, in a line of successful walk-ons. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I put an asterisk on the successful, but I was blessed to get to play with a lot of wonderful players and be a part of some good teams. And, my contributions weren't just with the athleticism, which was small. I had a lot of enthusiasm, and probably most people either loved or hated me for my enthusiasm when I played. So
I can only imagine.
Yeah. I know I'm getting some eyebrows raised by teammates if you're listening to this.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Okay, Marc. So tell us a little bit about your experience at William & Mary.
Yeah, well, again, liberal arts school was wonderful. It was a little bit different in the fact that I actually lived with a family for 3 years, and they lived in the Colonial Williamsburg. So I lived in what was called the Robert Carter House, which is the house just to the left of the governor's palace. My key
Wow.
was about 4 inches long, and yeah, it was a good experience because a lot of people like to jump into the governor's palace, and they had to cut through the backyard. Like to be able to spook them on that, but yeah, I just feel very blessed to have gotten to play with a great group of people. And like you said, I did some theater, and it's amazing some of the parallels between doing a main stage theater production and playing football.
Yeah.
And Dante, you know, that's probably the best thing about going to a liberal arts school is, you know, learning. And then the next best thing, actually probably the best thing, is I met my wife uh, playing some intramural basketball, and we ended up getting married a few years later. And
It's awesome.
fortunately, she's still married to me. So even though I broke her leg playing football, and she's got a plate in there, but that's a whole nother story.
That
So
cemented your love and relationship.
yeah,
So, I mean, where would you be without the play? Yeah.
that's right. I'd be, you know, I don't know where I'd be without her. So
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you, Kirsten. So, but no, it was good, and we had some wonderful teams that we played on, Dante. I mean, you know, when I look back, some of the experiences, you know, being a part of that team that beat UVA in 1986. I mean, that game felt like it went on and on and on. I can remember a game we played against Lehigh. That same year, we were down like, I don't know, we scored 18 points, I think, in the last 5 or 6 minutes. A guy, Mike Hackett, made one of the most unbelievable interceptions. Michael Pinball Clemens threw a halfback pass for an interception. I think we got an onside kick, and, you know, taking the bus home from Bethlehem, that was just unbelievable experience.
Wow.
Uh, but I think the first game I got to play, you know, I had surgery on my feet after the spring of my freshman year, so sophomore was back on the scout team. But getting to play Colgate, a top 20 team, we took the lead in the fourth quarter for the first time, and it was like a pin drop in the stadium, and I was like,
Wow.
"What?" And I came running out on the kickoff and just started jumping up in front of the student section, and the next thing you know, the whole student section went up. And I can
Wow.
remember a guy, David Wiley, you know, ended up being one of the captains. He was running on the kickoff team. He's like, man, I had chills going down there because the crowd was electric. And
Yeah.
so that kind of been, you know, was kind of my thing for the next couple of years of running out on kickoffs and trying to get the crowd going. So it was all good. And although when we played Richmond, Coach Laycock would, you know, don't get them too riled up. They're gonna go for you. So. But I'll tell you probably one of the most memorable things that caught me off guard from Coach Laycock was actually we were playing VMI and in the Oyster Bowl, and we were a little flat in the first half, and we're in the locker room, and I don't know what possessed Coach to look at me, but he said, Elim, you got anything to say to your teammates? And I guess I gave, it's all a blur, but I guess I said some things. It may not fired up anybody else, but I do know I made the tackle on the second half kickoff. So, and we won the game. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters. Yeah.
That's all that matters.
I'm still laughing when you shared that story with me because I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes. A couple of things probably would have gone through my mind. One, I didn't really know Coach knew my name. And two, you actually signaled me out in the middle of a game. You're better than me because I don't know if I would have had much to say. So that's an awesome story.
Yeah. So yeah, just a lot of awesome experiences. I mean, truly blessed to have got to wear the green and gold. So, and then, you know, I also, you know, after school got to be back involved with football, which is, you know, also been very, very rewarding.
Yeah, you've been involved pretty much since you graduated, to some extent, whether it's coaching or your involvement in alumni, you know, with alumni. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah. So right after I graduated, I actually went because I had gotten the theater bug. I went to London and enjoyed being in London and got to play like club football, where it was a bunch of local guys, practice like twice a week, and they play in these big stadiums. Like nobody would come, but they play. We played in Crystal Palace, which is a Premier League soccer team, which is pretty amazing. Unfortunately, I had a little skiing accident in my knee, so I didn't really do as much there, but it was great to kind of introduce American football to the team. I remember one of the other DBs was a guy that was about 15 years older than me. I was early 20s, and he had played at Alabama, but they just loved learning about American football. But then, I guess Coach Laycock somehow remembered my name because I explained to him I wanted to get into coaching, and he said that was going to be about the stupidest thing I could do. And he probably knew me better than I knew myself. But actually, that may not have been his words, but, and so I remember going down talking to Danny Smith at Georgia Tech, Bobby Ross was head coach at Georgia Tech, and it was either go down there or come back to William & Mary. And I was like, I want to get paid the big bucks to be a restricted earnings coach at William & Mary. And, but that was truly one of the best experiences. I mean, just some of the people, Sean Knight, Alan Williams, Mike Tomlin was a player there. Sean McDermott was coming in. Just some great experiences, and a lot of the kids that were freshmen when I was a senior were now the seniors when I came into coach, and to see their development was tremendous. We had some pretty good teams. In fact, the last game I got to coach was in the Tokyo Dome because we made a team trip over there and played on, I guess, January 9th of 1993. So that was pretty rewarding experience.
Now you had another assistant coach with you that we all may know.
Coach Mike London. Coach Mike London. And Mike looked a little different back then, coach, and I'm not saying any better or worse, but
just different.
He was pretty good. In fact, I put together a coach's intramural basketball team, and we had guys from the tennis team, guy Brian Calvis, who was a really good athlete, to a couple of the women's basketball coach, guy Kevin Risk, who had played with Jerome Kersey at Longwood, and Coach London was on there, and we ended up playing. Back then, football team could play, and I had recruited a guy, John Stem, who was a player, offensive lineman when I was coaching. We needed somebody that was 250 pounds or more, but we played that Kappa Sig team in the championship, and Coach London, he got a hold of the trophy. So I'm confident he's going to bring another trophy for the football team. He knows how to win.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, Mark. So, so you coached at William & Mary, and then let's talk about how you got to where you are now professionally, as well as with your involvement with the college from an alumni perspective.
Yeah, so I was coaching, and I guess where it really resonated, my wife was she was a tennis player at William & Mary, and she was coaching in college, and we thought it'd be great to try to coach at the same institution. So we went out to Southern Utah. She got the offer of Division I head coach on the tennis program, assistant basketball coach, and I was trying to get an assistant coach on the football team, and they wouldn't hire me. So we ended up saying, we'll get married and go to Richmond, and we'll find an opportunity there. I ended up going in the financial services business, and it's been something I've been doing for the last nearly 30 years. Up until about a year ago, I was a manager as well, which gave me that coaching opportunity to work with people, including one of the former great William & Mary guys, David Murphy, who I've known you've had in the locker room. And working alongside David for 14 years was truly special. But along those lines, Bobby Dwyer, who headed up the Tribe Club, I guess I'd moved back to Richmond area in 2006, and shortly thereafter, I got involved with the Tribe Club, which is the fundraising arm for W&M area. And it's been one of the more gratifying opportunities to get another perspective of what goes on. I think from a student athlete perspective, you don't realize what the school does for you. You know, as I mentioned, I was blessed to get a scholarship. And I mean, if I hadn't gotten that scholarship, I don't know if I would have graduated. I mean, I delivered newspapers. I worked 2 jobs in the summer. Yeah. I qualified for Pell Grants. I mean, my dad had gotten ill my freshman year and was out of work. And you know, again, scholarships are such a vital part. And, you know, to get a little money my senior year meant that I got my degree, which probably meant a lot more than people realize. So, you know, it's a chance to give back. Even when I wasn't earning much money, you know, I was a $7,000 paid restricted earnings coach, and I had made a pledge, and Bobby Dwyer said, "Hey, you're going to, you know, follow up on that pledge." It was $50 a year, but I was still committed to doing it. And, you know, it's funny. I talked to Jim Ukrop, and Jim Ukrop's got a similar story of where he started out at $25 a year.
Wow.
And you give what you can.
Sure.
And then when you have capacity to give more, you know, that's an opportunity. And, you know, William Mary's given so much to me and my family. You know, my wife went there, my oldest son, Marc, he graduated in 2021. And, you know, my kids all grew up going to football, basketball games, and, you know, we all bleed green and gold. But, you know, the last few years as chairperson for the W&M Athletic Foundation, the Tribe Club, you know, athletics, it's been a little volatile with the sports being cut and awareness of funding. And it's a sense of pride to see the community start to give back. And I think that would be the message, Dante, that I would share with people is, you know, it's really a quote from Winston Churchill. He said, "You make a living by what you get. You make a life by what you give." And, you know, I hear some people say they want to give back to what, you know, they got from a scholarship. You know, I'd like to do that 100 times over.
That's amazing.
Because, you know, I can't measure from a dollar standpoint the relationships I've got, not only from teammates. You know, David Wiley and I got to chair the 25-year reunion committee, co-chair with a couple other people, to, you know, the people beforehand and afterwards. It's the greatest fraternity I know, Tribe football.
Go Tribe. I love it, Marc. Well, thank you. This has been great. I loved catching up before the interview. I loved all the things you hit on during the interview. I think it's been a real treat, and I appreciate you coming on, Marc.
Well, thank you very much, Dante.